This whole ballot system where you can send it in and it's not even requested. We're not talking about it solicited. They're unsolicited ballots and they're sent in is very dangerous for our country. And you know who knows that better than anybody? The Democrats. Look at what happened in Manhattan where they had this kind of an election. And it was so fraudulent that it should never have been allowed to be called. We could have 5, 10, 15, 20% off. We could have more than that. The ballots will be stolen. Who knows where they're going? Who knows where they're coming from? It's not just the counting of the ballots, which, by the way, which will take forever. It'll take forever. You think November 3rd? You might not have, I guess at a certain point it goes to Congress. You know, at a certain point it goes to Congress. You know that. This is a disgrace. This is being done on purpose.
And then on top of that, you have talk of violence, and you have the Washington Post and others, and Michael Anton, local piece, you said you read his piece on it.
You know, liberals project. You know, the president is going to stay in office and seize power and all this.
Fascism.
I've never heard of that crap. Right. I mean, I'm the Attorney General. I would think I would heard about it. I've heard about it, okay? They're projecting. They are creating an incendiary situation where there's going to be loss of confidence in the vote. It'll be a close vote. People will say, you know, the president won Nevada. Oh, wait a minute. We just discovered 100,000 ballots. Every vote must be counted. Yeah, but we don't know where these freaking votes came from.
Look, if there's any kind of demonstration or violence, there will be nothing that interferes with this product, this vote. There's going to be nothing. The biggest problem we have right now are the ballots. Millions of ballots going out. That's the biggest problem. When you talk about other countries, whether it's China, Russia, or many others that get mentioned, they're in a much better position with these paper ballots to do something than they would ever be under the old system. And that's our biggest problem. Our biggest threat to this election is governors from opposing parties controlling ballots, millions of ballots. To me, that's a much bigger threat than foreign countries, because much of the stuff coming out about foreign countries turned out to be untrue. What is true is that many elections have taken place over the last year and a half using this ballot system. They've been off by 5%, 10%, 15%. I think I read one at 40%. And these are small, easy-to-control elections.
Your take on these developments, Mike Barnacle has just summed up some of the concerns there. Mine look at the elections. I'm worried that they're building up to something quite nefarious here.
There's yet another reason for having layers of supervision. Individual prosecutors can sometimes become headhunters. It's all too often. They're consumed with taking down their target. Subjecting their decisions to review by detached supervisors ensure the involvement of dispassionate decision makers.
Live from the nation's capital, you're in the War Room Pandemic. It's Thursday, the 17th of September, the year of our Lord 2020. As Jack Maxey reminds me, in 1862, the Battle of Antietam. And they kind of put to bed a military coup at that time. We'll get into more of that. Episode 391 of the War Room, now with over 14 million downloads. I want to thank the John Fredericks Radio Network, Real America Voice, which is the brand new logo of the old America's Voice.news. Dish Channel 219. Also, Newsmax TV and 70 million homes. Chris Ruddy and the team down there in Palm Beach. Real America Voice out in Colorado. We spread the nation and bringing the show to you. John Fredericks Radio Network in Richmond, Virginia, my hometown. G News and GTV. They're everywhere in Mandarin, blowing us out, making us the one of the world's biggest shows. They put their shoulder to the wheel the other day, helping Dr. Yan in the Tucker Carlson, made that the top 2 or 3 stories in the world. Wow, what an open. I want to thank the production team, particularly Vish Burra. Brought that in. That was amazing, amazing open. Mika. No. Read the Vanity Fair story yesterday. Mika, no. This is all you guys projecting. You guys are nervous. It's time for the Democrats to embrace the suck, okay? Bottom line is Donald J. Trump's going to win the game day vote, the secret ballot election day vote, which is the way we voted for 200-plus years. But all this 60, 70, 80 million, ballots all over the place. You have to understand something, Democrats. Donald J. Trump is going to take the oath of office shortly after noon, high noon, on the 20th of January, the year of our Lord, 2021, because he's going to win the game day vote. And that is going to be a fact that all your, lawfare, media, Facebook, pressure on Fox, street riots, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all of it will not reverse the secret ballot of the American people. We're going to get more into that. It's got, 40-some in a wake up. But here's for our audience, hashtag War and Pandemic live stream. Number one, we don't want an audience. We don't want listeners. We don't want viewers. That's not relevant to us. We want people that are armed with righteousness. You have three things to do. Number one, today. And by the way, all the Democrats listening to this, if over the last months listening, you're still for Biden, that's fine. We love people doing your civic duty. Here's what we need people to do. Number one, today, we need you pushing all the content. We break it into small bits. We need you pushing the content to every person you know. Number one, that's what you're going to do today. Write this down. Get the notebooks out. Get those number two pencils. Write down. Push out content. Okay? Push out content everywhere. Number two, you're going to, digitally do a phone bank, get people you know. I think one of our listeners said, I think we got to October 5th. We had to pull that tweet up where they laid out you got voter registration, I think in Arizona, 4 or 5 states. Whoever did that, I think it was Persistence or at Perseverance. Can you please retweet that today? Our Evercrack staff missed that. I got it. Okay, so you get people, sign them up, get on the phone, volunteer to work a phone bank, to do a digital door knock or walk door to door. And if you're a Biden supporter, if you're one of the Bernie guys who haven't convinced you're a Biden supporter, go show up in an airport. Seriously, the Biden campaign is completely and totally incompetent. Joe Biden shows up at these places. He turns. There's nobody at the airport. You guys are not going to be able to get out the vote on election day if you can't turn up a couple of people that could fog a mirror at an airport. Trump shows up. He's got thousands of people there. Joe Biden turns. He's waving to a tarmac. Okay? So number two in the War Room hashtag pandemic, you get out digital door knocking, real door knocking, phone bank. That all leads up to get out the vote. Get people registered, do your 10 for 20. That's one of the things on Talk Radio they're doing. They got a site for that 10 for 20. Go to defendyourballot.com, join the Army of Trump, all that. So that's also, it's push out content immediately. It is participate. And third, at 11 o'clock at night on the 3rd of November, when Mika's worst nightmares happen, Donald Trump, as the Hawkfish guy says, is up, 350 electoral votes, and they're in full meltdown because Zuckerberg's not calling it. AP's not calling it. They've all made a cartel that they're not going to call it. That's when the games begin. Game on. Okay? For the next, 9 weeks until high noon. And the president must be watching because, we've been talking about this. Is going to go to Congress and vote by state delegation. That's why these congressional races are so important. It's 26, 23, and 1. Pennsylvania being the dead even. So, Connell, a couple of these things get flipped. There's going to be enormous pressure on the popular vote in these states versus the congressional delegations. It's going to be a fracas. That's not me. That's the Attorney General of the United States, Bill Barr. So we're now into the most important time of the Republic. It's 49, 47, and a wake up to Election Day. But we said for months and months and months. That's just one sign. That's just one stop on the signpost. The only thing that matters is victory. The only thing that matters is Donald J. Trump raising that right hand on the Trump family Bible, just like in 2016, and commencing his second term. Which, by the way, every day is going to be a struggle session. So don't think it's not. But you've seen is Raheem and the people at National Pulse, people at Revolver, a Gateway Pundit, at the Michael Patrick Leahy series of papers from Minnesota to Ohio to Tennessee to now Virginia, the Virginia Star, John Fredericks Radio Network. Real America's Voice has kind of become the nerve center of this. Big shout out for the guys in Colorado. Newsmax TV doing a great job. Fox, in the evenings at least, doing a great job. Laura, Tucker, and Sean. And, of course, Lou Dobbs and the guys over at Fox Business. But, hey, this is a so I don't want to totally hog the mic. I don't really do opening monologues, but I was so inspired today. It was Mika. It was Mika's meltdown.
I just want to, there's no teleprompter here.
No. I'm just as a riff. No, because and I don't even say anything about Barr's headhunter at the end. Far be it from me. Far be it from me. Far be it from me to although we are going to open the show every day with that. Bill Barr, brother. I've been headhunted before. I've been headhunted a lot in my career, right? Particularly my career in finance. Not so much my career as a populist.
You calling Bill Barr a brother is going to get picked up.
Oh,
Media
my
Matters.
God. Oh, my God. What's her name? What's our follower?
Madeline Peltz.
Hey, Madeline. Bannon calls Bill Barr brother. Secret code. Got the coded ring. Headhunting. He's headhunting. Just saying. Hey, I'm just repeating what's out there.
He's got 3 pens in the shirt today. People,
It's
pay attention.
a 3-pen day. It's a 3-pen day. Because I'm finally back. When I'm doing it remote, I don't feel like I can get my hands on start choking people. No, it's always. I kind of like Raheem in the key chair. So Raheem, what are your thoughts now? Listen,
I've got my own chair now.
this is all it's about, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to hear about you love history. You read about the Revolution, read about the Civil War. They're going to talk about this time. From now to high noon on the 20th of January, the year of our Lord 2021, they're going to talk about this for hundreds of years to come, just like they talked about the Revolution, just like they talk about the Civil War. They're going to talk about this. Represent Mr. Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey. You've got to finally take a minute each.
No, I mean, firstly, you don't have to have the cans on. It's just,
I had to listen to that. Okay, fine, my hair.
Yeah, everybody wants to see it.
And I actually got a trim yesterday.
Everybody needs to see it. Hey, but here's the thing. Isn't this incredible how in the last, for the last 6 weeks we've been banging on about this. Suddenly it's the number one thing, right? Right up to the Attorney General, the President of the United States. He recognizes, we said the Congress is going to have to vote, right? It goes straight there. And now this is it.
Doesn't go quite straight there. It goes a very torturous path, but it will get there.
The fact is, I think people are beginning to realize now that everything we predicted was going to happen is absolutely going to happen.
Yes.
There is no other way to high noon on January 20th.
Look, and so just our bona fides. Raheem was there, our editor in London, when Nigel said the morning after Brexit, if it hadn't been for Breitbart London, there wouldn't be a Brexit. We called Brexit. We worked on Brexit for years. We called 2016. I told then candidate Trump the day I took over, like around the 13th, 14th, 100% metaphysical certitude. You will win, right? Just focus on the populist, economic nationalist part of this, and you'll destroy the representative of the failing political class, Hillary Clinton. We've been on this for months. This is why the whole thing with the headhunting, they missed the point. I was never going back to the campaign. This is the issue. Campaign's doing a great job. Trump's White House doing a great job. This is for all the marbles, though. What happens starting the evening of November 3rd. Not nefarious, Mika. All out in the open. You guys are the nefarious ones. You're the guys under cover of night. Take a short break. We'll be back in a moment. A lot to go through today. China. We got so much on China. We got Brian Kennedy, Lee Smith. Trying to get Liz Yore here to talk about the Vatican. So much going on in China. So much going on in TikTok. Back in a moment. That wasn't bad, was it?
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Yeah, in the back, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. President. Bill Barr told prosecutors that he wants to charge violent demonstrators with sedition. And you told Judge Janine that if there's violent demonstrations on election night, we'll put them down very quickly if they do that. Look, it's called an insurrection. So I'm wondering why you want to use that kind of rhetoric when there's such a
Well, the
volatile
question was
situation.
asked to me about if you have violent demonstrations. Yes, we will put it down very, very quickly if there is. Absolutely.
Are you making fun
And I
of-
think the American public wants to see that. Yeah. Oh, wait.
Welcome back. Hashtag War and Pandemic on Thursday, September the 17th, the year of our Lord 2020. It's Constitution Day, by the way, gentlemen, as well. Big day here. And lots of historic events over the course of history today also. It was, I think, when you guys tried to invade Canada, didn't work out so well in the long run.
We tried to invade Canada many times. I don't know the 17th of September. That was a obsession with the founders, right?
Still ours for now. Still the Crown Sovereign Territory. I want to get back into this.
Because of General Wolfe. The Plains of Abraham, one of my favorite battles. 17th of September is also, my dad is 99 years old today.
Wow.
99. I'll be down there later in the day. Yeah, no. So it's
please.
Antietam, Constitution Day, and Marty Bannon's birthday.
And the supposed siege on D.C. was supposed to start today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they're going to show up eventually.
I understand that your father is a bigger fan than mine on the radio, however. So
He's a huge he won't watch it on iPad. He will watch it. He will listen to it on the John Fredericks Radio Network, and I know he's a very close listener because he tells me that's how I judge whether Miles Guo is decipherable or not on radio. He listens every week to the Miles Guo pieces and our Chinese pieces, and he tells me who can be, and he says Miles can be understood. He listens, takes notes. I get a report after every show, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he gives unvarnished opinions. It's like father, like son.
And the other thing that happened that I just wanted to recall in this week, because it has been another historic week in this sense, is that it was the Camp David Accords signed in 1978 in this week today.
I actually think today, you talk about Camp David Accords. Of course, the mainstream media didn't cover it at all. I think MBZ should have come, but I think that what you saw with the UAE and now Bahrain and eventually, I think they're as big as the Camp David Accords. I realize that the Camp David Accords were historic and Sadat gave his life for it eventually, but this thing was that what's happened here recently with the Gulf Emirates is nothing short of. Yes, Mika, your dad didn't get nominated for a Nobel Prize, but Donald J. Trump did by the Norwegians. Embrace the suck, Mika.
There was
your
two.
Daddy didn't get never got nominated for a because he was a total disaster under Carter, another disaster.
Trump nominated twice.
Trump nominated twice for a Nobel Prize. Okay, for the left, for Vanity Fair, and all the because the trading desk, everybody, write this down. Trump wins the secret ballot, the way we vote on November 3rd. Then after a lot of a lot of contention and craziness, madness. At noon on the 20th, he raises his hand. He's got a second term. Then he's nominated and pushed hard for the Nobel Prize for bringing peace to the Middle East. Isn't it great where we're going? Left, we want you in full meltdown. And also think of this. Trump in a second term, totally off the chain, right? Off the chain, left. So get ready for it.
I was surprised at how unsecret a ballot a lot of this process actually is. A lot of these state websites now host, which isn't like on their homepage or whatever, but because they host it on the website, you can kind of go behind the scenes. If you know what you're doing coding-wise, you can go behind the scenes and actually download a lot of voter registration data that comes with party registration data, with the address, with the cell phone numbers.
Yeah, I think people are doing that every day.
It's nuts.
Just note.
No, this is why millions and millions of ballots unsolicited are arriving at people's houses
This is
every
the
day.
problem with having this system. The Democrats, look, we started War Room Pandemic back in mid-January. We started broadcasting with Miles Guo and the team up there during Lunar New Year. We started the show on the 21st when Fauci was saying nothing to worry about. We have had a grip on this pandemic, and I will just tell you, the Democrats overplayed their hand. They scared people too much about going to vote, and now they're in panic mode. Look at Mika's face. Look at those grim faces. If they thought Biden was up 6, look at those grim faces on Morning Joe every morning. And for our audience, remember, we focus on the signal, not the noise. What's on Morning Joe every morning is kind of the Washington consensus. That's why it's always good to watch, because it's always wrong, but it is the consensus. But cut the sound off. Just hit mute. And you don't have to put closed caption. You don't need to hear anything they're saying. Just watch the physicality of it. It's when fear takes over. Fear. Now, Mika's now gripped with fear, right? She's gripped for fear because she understands that. And you can see in the last 48, 72 hours, Trump is everywhere. He's in California at a Hispanic roundtable. He's in Nevada at rallies. He's doing wildfires in California. He's coming back and signing peace accords that get him nominated for the Nobel Prize, unlike your dad. Okay, he's everywhere, right? He goes and walks into the ambush. Who does a town hall on ABC with George Stephanopoulos and clearly comes in, takes them all. And here's the phoniness of it. Oh, it's people who have not made up their mind. It's such a lie. Just say, hey, they're Trump haters. That's fine. Trump doesn't care. He'll take them all. It's undecideds. Every question had a sharp edge to it. There's not a person in there. In fact, let's go give a lie detector test to them. ABC, if you're so confident, let's give a lie detector test to those people. Their minds are made up. That's okay. Okay. Trump goes in like honey badger, right? He's just honey badger. Bring it. Can Joe Biden do that? Could Joe Biden sit through? This is what the American people have to ask. Could Joe Biden sit through a town hall with hostile questions? Right? He's just doing the proof of life. By the way, I want to go back and I want to mention, we got a second. Brett Decker, who was a former editor at the Wall Street Journal, wrote a book many years ago called Bowing to Beijing. We're going to go through this book. This book's years old. It was about how Barack Obama is hastening America's decline and ushering in a century of Chinese domination. This book is many years old. It was absolutely brilliant when it was written. Brett is a guy that really knows in his William Triplett, but he was the editorial page editor for the Washington Times, formerly from the Wall Street Journal. But here's the reason it's important. It's not Barack Obama. He had his deputy, his wingman, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the senator from Wilmington, Delaware, the post office box for the global corporations. Right? Why was Joe Biden even put on the ticket? Joe Biden's put on the ticket, babysit Barack Obama. Barack Obama beat Hillary Clinton. You know, Obama took her down and Trump took her down. Okay? And both of them ran as populist. Obama was a fire-breathing anti-war populist in Iowa and New Hampshire and just ran the table. Of course, she pushed back, but he ran the tables on her. Right? And they had to put somebody on there who kind of watch over this guy, because this guy's, and what did they say yesterday? Biden came out and said, it's in Politico, one of the top stories. Oh, we made such a huge mistake on how we handled the financial crisis, right? Really at the Wall Street. Biden, that was your whole purpose for being there. You were put on there because you're on the council, you were on the Senate, you ran the Democratic Senate Council, the Foreign Relations, the Senate Committee, right, for many, many decades, always on the wrong side of history, always making the wrong calls, including voting for the Iraq War, right? And you were put on there to oversee and to make sure you were the Wall Street guy, the corporate guy. How can you say now it was a mistake? That was you. The greatest concentration of wealth in America's history, not triggered by a pandemic, okay? In this book, Bowing to Beijing goes through the details of Obama said, hey, we got to get out of the middle. He says it's a disaster, right? What the permanent political class has done. What we have to do is we have to pivot to Asia. Hey, guess what? Chinese Communist Party being offended. Obama's kind of a populist. Say, hey, this is Wall Street. I don't know what's going on with this China thing. We got to pivot to Asia. Hey, Joe, can you take this for me? Xi comes over here for his state visit in September. I think it was in 2015 to sign the big accord. Two big things: cyber intrusions, information warfare, not going to companies, and not militarize the South China Sea. Joe Biden delivers after his 25 hours of one-on-one with Xi, and his son getting the $1.5 billion from the Chinese completely blown. By the way, I want to say something about the veterans before we go here. And I realize I'm like on a roll today. So glad to be back here and got the mic in control. Don't have to have Vish down the line. I want to talk about Joe Biden and the veterans thing. But look, his son went over for a couple of months as a lawyer, as a JAG guy in Kosovo. And look, that's always good. And he was Vice President Biden went through a horrible tragedy. His son dying of brain cancer. That's, you can't heal that wound. That'll always be with him. And his son did go serve his country. But when he talks about the veterans, I don't want to talk about the older son. I want to talk about you got in your son who was a drug addict. You knew he was a drug addict. Okay, you got him in the military, this quick thing. What's he do right off the bat? He's selling drugs and dealing drugs to enlisted men. Every military family. I was a naval officer. My daughter was a captain in the Army at West Point. Every officer, the non-commissioned officers know one of the biggest problems we got is the drug use of the young kids coming in, right? And the parents send them into the military, understanding that's the officer corps and the NCOs that are responsible for making sure that they don't live in that environment. You're a disgrace, Joe Biden. You can't sit there with the veterans. I've been with President Trump. I went to him with Gettysburg. He knows military history. He knows I'm a devotee of reading military history. He has nothing but the highest reverence for our veterans, the highest reverence people serve. Sir, by your actions, you've trashed the veterans. How can you sit there when you gun-decked and got your son in there, a known drug addict, and allowed him to go in and then got him out with didn't he get him out with an honorable discharge? It's a disgrace. What Joe Biden did is a total disgrace and shows he doesn't care about the active duty military. If you cared, sir, you wouldn't have forced your son in there as a drug addict who then dealt drugs and did drugs with enlisted men.
Well, I think there's one thing that's very important about that, Steve. Some enterprising journalists should ask who got him the waiver. Somebody had to sign off on a 42-year-old punk getting into the Navy.
42-year-old drug addict. Your son is a disaster, okay? Your son is a disgrace. He's a disgrace. Been dealing with the Chinese Communist Party, taking money from our enemies, doing the surveillance technology. He's a disgrace. And, sir, you're a disgrace, okay? Particularly about veterans. We'll be back talking about China, Dr. Yan, in a moment.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back. It's War Room Pandemic. Now with over 14 million downloads. We're distributed everywhere throughout the world. I want to thank our Australian audience right now for listening and the audience in Europe. Welcome aboard. We're the signal, not the noise. You know, even talking about the Morning Joe show, cut the sound off. Don't do closed caption. What they're talking about is not, it's a Washington consensus. It's always wrong. But that's the relevant part is look at Mika. Look at Joe. Look at the lines of worry. They understand that Trump is going to win, right? And he's in this whole plot that they've got with these 60, 70, 80 million ballots. Whoever knows where they're going, the non-secret vote will not reverse the fact that on Election Day, the 3rd of November, that Donald J. Trump is going to be the winner, okay? He's going to be the winner that evening. So this is now, we've talked about this for months. It's coming into focus. Everybody's talking about it. It's got 3 elements to it. It's got a lawfare element to it. It's got a communications and information warfare part to it, a media part, right? That's where you got Zuckerberg, taking down. And the dry run, this is the good dry run, is Dr. Yan. Right, if Dr. Yan's so wrong, then have guys go online and talk about why she's wrong, what she missed. That's called scientific debate. No, Jack Dorsey's got to take it down. She's too dangerous. Jack Dorsey's got to take it down. He makes a decision. It comes down off Twitter. She had 59,000 followers, I think, in one day. Tucker does this huge show. Everybody's talking about it. He puts something on Facebook. It explodes, right? Nope, got to take it down, right? Our experts, as Raheem Kassam said months and months ago, who watches The Watchmen, right? Who watches The Watchmen? Who's the panel that determines, and what are their credentials that it's false information? If it's false information, let all the people that are banging on her right now about, oh, you didn't do this, didn't do this. I haven't seen, in all the heat and animosity to Dr. Yan, I haven't seen details of what they're saying. Hey, I've seen a lot of vitriol. I haven't seen a lot of details. That's the scientific process. That's peer review. Don't pull it down. But this is what's going to happen on the evening of November 3rd. They're not going to call a winner. They're going to be taking down Twitter accounts. When Raheem Kassam's sitting there going, National Pulse calls, when Real America Voice, when Gina Loudon, right, and the team at Real America Voice called the election at 10 o'clock, right? Boom, that's coming down, right? Can't do that. Can't have communication. The left's got to understand this is you talk about your war gaming. Hey, we have thought this through for months and months and months. It's all coming together, right? You guys work under the cloak of darkness, and now you're trying to socialize this. It's not going to work. You're not the fact you're not going to be able to unwind or reverse. Let me say it this way: you're not going to be able to reverse the fact that on Election Day, in the traditional secret ballot that we voted on for hundreds of years, that Donald J. Trump is going to be the winner. You're not going to be able to reverse that fact. Okay, just not going to happen. You're not going to do it through 60 million mail-in ballots. Who knows where they are? Boxes coming in here. Oh, it's that signature. It's a hanging Chad. Hang this Chad, right? Hang this Chad. you're going to just look at Mika's face. It's so beautiful. I love it. And I'm not even commenting on President Trump's. She had a facelift. She's bleeding all over my rugs. So unnecessary. So unnecessary. So unnecessary.
I was waiting for someone to bring that up.
Let's remind our viewers also about the wisdom of the Brzezinski family, okay? Let's remember what he did with Jimmy Carter. We always talk about the rising threat of China, and now it's in our face. In 1970s, what did Brzezinski and Carter do? They gave up the Panama Canal.
Disaster.
Both sides of the Panama Canal
Disaster.
are now controlled by Chinese shipping companies.
And people said that at the time, our enemies are going to take it over. He was also a guy that bought into the Kissinger, we were declining power. This is the whole Thucydides trap, ladies and gentlemen. You just got to remember, this scam, the scam that's been run today about China, the rising power, the declining power. Graham Allison, who sat up right here in the war room, up in the Breitbart Embassy with me on several occasions and discussed this in detail. And Henry Kissinger walked through the whole Thucydides trap thing. Is the Soviet Union was the rising power, command and control economy, right? Rising military power, and the United States was declining power, and that played to really the Nixon. That was part of the Nixon shtick, right? With Kissinger, and it was part of the. It was definitely all of Carter. That's why Jimmy Carter's a one-term president. Ronald Reagan defeated him because people, the American people, working class people in this country, the ones that serve, right, said, hey, guess what? We're not a declining power. This is a bunch of elites that are a managed decline. That was the beginning of the managed decline of the United States of America. This was Donald Trump. President Reagan started it, and Donald Trump is here to bring it to fruition.
Also,
the same exact scam, the same exact players. When Graham Allison was here, I said, I've gone through your book, Destined for War. I've gone through the Thucydides trap. I said, there's one thing that's missing, these 15 examples you got. There's one thing that's missing. There's no example where the elites of your declining power are making more money than ever supporting the supposedly rising power. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, Wall Street, corporate America. They're in business with the Chinese Communist Party. That's the business model. And now Tom Friedman, you hear all these guys, what they want is they want the entire model. That's what they're saying, democracy and Trump, you can't manage this pandemic, you can't manage. They are on a high moral holy crusade, right, of taking down the patriarchy, of unwinding America as this racist, systemically racist nation, and climate change. That's the holy trinity, right there. They want the Chinese model. They admire it. Tom Friedman, this guy says all the time, they want the ability to move quickly for climate change. Got to do it. Why do you think they're not talking climate change in this? Why is Joe Biden and these guys not talking climate change in the right now in this election? Climate change is such a big deal. Why is it not talked about? You know why? Nobody will vote for it.
Well, actually, recently they've picked up this line about climate change because they're trying to mitigate the complete disaster that is the wildfires in California, and now they're shifting the blame on climate change.
Yes, they're saying climate change, but they're not. It's not every day. He ain't up in. Joe, I noticed in your populist economic nationalist speech up in Scranton, Joe from Scranton, I missed the climate change part. Not sellable in Pennsylvania, not sellable in Michigan, not sellable in Wisconsin, basically not sellable to people called voters. Oh, the people that vote on November 3rd in a secret ballot, real voters, not faux voters, right? Not this stuff you're sending out 80 million ballots. Let's see how many you get in, right? We'll do them by the pound. You got a pound of ballots over there, bring in another pound. It's not going to happen, folks. Look, here's the thing. We've been on this for months and months and months. Raheem and the guys started talking about it publicly a couple of months ago. We didn't need the Transition Integrity Project. We knew exactly what the scam was. You can't beat Trump in an election, so you got to try to steal it. Okay? It's not going to happen. You've been outed. Now they're talking about bringing the heavy artillery, talking about Insurrection Act, sedition. I'm so digging this, right? Embrace the suck. Just embrace the suck. Here's the suck. Donald J. Trump's reelected. Donald J. Trump takes the oath of office. Donald J. Trump's off the chain. And Donald J. Trump gets nominated for the Nobel Prize. What's better than that?
Again for a third time.
And frankly, if he does not win the Nobel Prize, then the Nobel Committee has lost all credibility
Already
because
has.
clearly, compared to anybody winning,
You didn't
in the
get
last
that
2
memo. You didn't
decades-
get that memo.
Years ago.
Come on. So Raheem, okay, I'm gonna back away. I know hashtag pandemic. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take both hands off the mic. Jack Maxey and Raheem Hussein. I've got a lot to talk about. Raheem, I know the audience wants to hear from you. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Look, there's only so much I want to give away right now about the things that we're working on, but there's a heck of a whole lot more coming out about this stuff. I mean, Phil Klein and the Got Freedom guys and the Amistad Project dropped on the National
Fabulous.
Pulse show yesterday about these 48% of donations going through Act Blue that are registered to unemployed people. You know, compare that with what's going to the Republicans is about 2 or 3%. So people are beginning to ask questions of, you know, where is this money going, etc. There is a whole movement out there, and I know we don't want to get into it necessarily today, this morning on the show, but some of the things you're seeing on the national media that you think are even on your side in the middle of the day, I'll get into it at 3 p.m. on the National Pulse show today and talk about all of that. The fix, here's the thing, the fix was supposed to be in, and I will take a victory lap over this. I'll continue to take victory laps over this. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this is because I am now being reached out to from those people, from the hard left, from the people in the Soros camp. And I'm not going to tell you who, I'm not going to tell you what they said. They've asked me for confidence in that. And when the time is right, there will be you know a coming forward of all of this stuff. And I'm being asked to turn the temperature down.
Turn the temperature down.
Turn the temperature down.
Oh, baby, you haven't seen it yet. We're hitting you with an acetylene torch. We're taking a torch to the enemy, and yes, you are the enemy.
But here's the thing, and I don't want people to think that this is because I'm mean-spirited or anything. The point is
I am.
Of course, I know you are. I've been on the receiving end of it.
Headhunt that, baby.
They've laid out a plan. They laid out a 22-page report that said overtly that they were willing to cheat, right? Between the street fights and the mail-in ballots and killing off the Electoral College and killing off
cheat.
election
Look,
night.
people
that's
cheat.
a cheat.
People cheat in these elections. Hey, that is something different. They're prepared to end the republic over this. They're prepared to end the republic. Remember, they think they're on a high moral crusade about destroying the patriarchy, destroying America because it's systemically racist, and climate change, right? The Holy Trinity. And they want the model. They keep talking about it. They want the Beijing model. They want state-controlled capitalism with an authoritarian political system. They're going to play Smash Mouth. They win, they're going to play Smash Mouth.
Well, you know, this reminds me of what the generals said yesterday in their letter. This is an opportunity for every American to stand up and defend the Constitution. What appalls me so much is you hear these Democrats talking about the president's abuse of the Constitution, this, that, and the other thing. Yet I hear every single one of them talk out and condemn the College of Electors. I mean, this is part of the Constitution. They pick and choose what they want because all they care about, people, is power. It is so obvious. And when you talk about, Raheem was talking about these people are all unemployed giving money to Act Blue. Well, it's interesting. U.S. News and World Report is reporting that mayors in 25 cities have gotten together to create guaranteed income. So this is what's coming, people. They want to create a socialist state that undermines everything that you believe in. Go take a look at Arlington when you got an afternoon off. Those people, you're going to meet them one day, and they are not going to be pleased unless you stand up and defend this country.
Well, I think in the letter, the most powerful part of the letter was these are 250 flag officers who are some of our most decorated and renowned heroes, said this is the most important election since the founding of the Republic. That's not the guys at War Room. That's not Steve Bannon with his hair on fire, Jag Maxey, Raheem Kassam. That's renowned, these 250. Raheem, take us out here, brother.
There's so much more to come out, and there's so much more to go through, and there are so many more of these documents and books and all of this stuff that's gonna start showing up. And the thing is, we hit the alarm button, right? We hit the alarm button over nearly 2 months ago now, and I'm really glad to see everybody else, waking up and figuring out what's going on here. From you're seeing the op-eds, you're seeing all of that in the American Greatness, and Julie Kelly and Dan Bongino's been talking about it on his show now, and people are waking up to the fix here. And now what you've got to look out for is how the organizations, the television organizations, the news media organizations that you did put your trust in, how they deal with this issue. Because right now, I'm still hearing crickets from a lot of avenues on this.
Yeah, look, it's got three elements to it. A lawfare element to it, a information warfare or media part of this, and then you've got the in the streets, right? And and that is the terror aspect. And they saw what happened in D.C. back in June. And they saw essentially a lot of the traditional conservatives kind of, go to ground. They understand that's powerful. We're going to be back in a moment with War Room Pandemic.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Tomorrow's news today on War Room Pandemic. In fact, when we started Pandemic, it was 6 months news on day one. Bill Gertz in the Bill Gertz. We're going to get to Dr. Yan and everything. The next hour will be a China hour. Bill Gertz, a huge story in the Washington Times today, talking about other defectors coming from labs in Europe to talk about the biological weapons program of, yes, you got it, the PLA, People's Liberation Army, and the Chinese Communist Party. It's an open secret. I mean, they're running around beating on Dr. Yan. Hey, it's an open secret. Five Eyes, Sherry Markson reported from when she was at the Telegraph in Australia about the Five Eyes information program. A guy named Mike Pompeo said it back in May, right? President of the United States hinted to it when he said it. Right, overwhelming evidence, I think, is what Mike Pompeo said from the Wuhan lab. The intelligence community knows it's an open secret. They got a biological weapons program. It's when is the West going to have the will? It's like when the Nazis basically said, "Yeah, we don't think this Versailles thing works for us anymore," and started rearming, and the entire West just sat there and allowed it to happen. You eventually got Poland in 1939, you eventually got France in 1940, you eventually got the Blitz over England, right? You eventually got the takeover of Western Europe, you got North Africa, had it all, right? You got it all, because you didn't stand up in 1933, 34, 35. You either stand up or not. They have a biological weapons program, everybody knows that, right? And they're doing it, why? Because they can't compete with us with nuclear weapons, they can't compete with us as a military. All these aircraft carriers are building their third aircraft carrier right now. Look, we are the guys that took over. The United States Navy took over from the Royal Navy, right? And about how to what's called fight the ship. It's complicated. Look at Midway. Naval warfare is very complicated. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. That's why the Royal Navy, the United States Navy. That's why the United States Navy won in the Pacific in the 1940s and World War II, right? The Chinese Navy does not have a chance. Here's their chance: 0, right? And they know that. PLA knows that. PLA knows that they can't control the South China Sea. We can, right? So how they do it? They do it on the cheap. First off, they got cyber warfare. They got economic warfare. They have total infiltration into the United States, into our financial institutions, our cultural institutions. We're going to talk next hour. Guess what? The Vatican is getting ready to renew the secret deal. Miles Grove calls them out, says, hey, Vatican's taking billions of dollars. Not want crickets from the Vatican. Crickets from the Vatican. They're in every cultural institution we've got. They're in Hollywood. They're in the church. They're on Wall Street. They're in corporate America and the halls of Congress, right? They're funding the story the other day about BLM. They got the relationships with BLM. They're everywhere, folks. Spread money, influence operations. Miles Grove pointed out to me yesterday, another Bannon insurance company. Remember Bannon insurance company? Owned the Waldorf Astoria, I think. Guess what? In receivership in China, another money laundering operation, another influence peddling operation. Bannon Insurance Company, H&A, all of them. Just insane. Joe Biden and the proof of life. He's coming out. We gotta get that Dodge Ram story up. I mean, this guy it's pathetic. But he's talking about Brexit.
He's talking about.
But he's not. This guy. I mean, why don't they just say right now? Okay, he's just a cipher. This is the Obama restoration. Kamala Harris, she can't even hold herself back. It's the Harris-Biden administration. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that. If Trump got to take on Harris, run against Harris, I have no problem with that. Just be honest. This guy is not – talk about the 3 o'clock phone call. He can't take the 4 o'clock in the afternoon phone call because it's a sundowner. He doesn't need 3 a.m. I want to know if can he take 3 a.m. He's probably more alert than 4 o'clock. The sundowner from 4 o'clock to 7. He's looking for a nap, right? Because he's got sundowner. I think it's absolutely. I think it's terrible that they're doing this to him. But it's not the 3 a.m. It's the 4 p.m. phone call. Mr. Raheem Kassam.
Well, Joe Biden tweets yesterday, subtweets the House Foreign Affairs Committee. They sign a letter from Elliot Engel, Richard Neal, Peter King, and William Keating, calling on Boris Johnson and the United Kingdom to uphold the commitments with Northern Ireland, talking about the Good Friday Agreement. And Biden tweets this. He tweets, "We can't allow the Good Friday Agreement that brought peace to Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit. Any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent upon respect for the agreement and preventing the return of a hard border, period." Well, we went through that debate and discussion, and the British public voted for Brexit regardless. We then went through several years of legal wrangling over that, and eventually everything got found in Brexit's favour, and we formally left the European Union at the beginning of this year. And we will properly extricate ourselves from all the institutions by the end of this year, depending on how the trade deal with Europe works out. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a no-deal situation. Whatever, right? Number one, Joe Biden weighing in on a treaty agreement between Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the rest of the United Kingdom will smack a lot of people in the jaw in Britain who have worked on this very hard to make sure that peace remains. Number two, it's a threat. You're saying that the peace will not be certain if there is a return to a harder border with that. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's saying, hey, we're going to get your terrorists back after you. We're going to have the IRA bombing the place again. Number three on this whole thing is, hey, Joe, you know what? Actually, maybe feel free to weigh in, because the last time your administration weighed in, when Barack Obama flew to the United Kingdom ahead of the Brexit vote, and he said, you're going to go to the back of the queue for a trade deal, the Brits voted for Brexit as a result, right? How's that for an impression?
That was such a good impression.
Hey, President Obama, when you came in and stuck your nose into the British thing, how are they going to vote? Let me see. Yeah. That was the old, you're going to the back of the queue. Thanks, Barack. We could tell you at the time that helped, right? This is how enthusiastic are you about sticking your nose in it, just like Biden's. Biden, look, let's focus on what's important, sir. Let them figure that out over there. Here's what's important. Where's your response to this, bowing to Beijing? Where is the response to your kowtowing to the Chinese Communist Party? That is the central existential threat of our lifetime, of the American Republic, besides the Soros-backed, party of Davos billionaires with this Marxist, left-wing, anarchist, and paramilitary operation Antifa. So where's your response? Where's Biden's response on anything that's relevant, Mr. Raheem Kassam?
But I'd like to know as well, if it was President Trump who was saying something like this about a democratic thing that had been done in another country, and he was weighing in on another country and another country's peace accords with them, the whole national media, especially the foreign policy establishment in D.C., would say, oh, he's weighing in on something he knows nothing about.
He just sent Mick Mulvaney over there. After Mick's great handling of the pandemic, his number two thing is go settle Northern Ireland. Okay, short break. I'll be back with a new episode next.